What's good, everybody? It's the Clown with Cab Show. NFL Week 10, some big games. My Indianapolis Colts lost, which was expected. But let's start with the Thursday night game. The Bengals losing to the Baltimore Ravens 34-35. Ja'Marr Chase went crazy. I have him in one of my fantasy leagues, put up 67 points. Top 3 all-time ever. It just is crazy, man. He had 264 yards receiving and 3 touchdowns. Ja'Marr Chase went crazy, yet they still lost this game. I think the Cincinnati Bengals lost this game because of coaching. The coach decided to go for it like 3 or 4 times on 4th down. I get it the first time to do it to prove a point, in the first half. But overall, there's some 4th downs they went for where they should have just took the points. Should have took the 3 points, and that's it. You would have won the game. But being greedy, going for it every single time on 4th down, I think that's a recipe for a disaster in the NFL, especially when you don't make it, when you don't make the 4th down conversion. So we look at the Bengals and realize, yeah, the coaching lost them this game. The Bengals are 4-6 right now. They could still, reach the playoffs, but right now it's a long shot. It's just like with Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow had 4 touchdowns, 0 picks against the Baltimore Ravens. I don't know what else you want Joe Burrow to do in company. It's the coach that lost him this game single-handedly. Some terrible calls, especially in the second half. Going for it on 4th down, I think it was like 4th and 4. Just kick the field goal. Get the guaranteed points. Go up 2 possessions. It just doesn't make sense to me. But Baltimore Ravens, they're 7-3 right now. Lamar Jackson had 4 touchdowns, 290 yards passing, went crazy. Derrick Henry had a touchdown. I think it's like 10th game in a row with a touchdown for Derrick Henry. It's amazing. It is. The Ravens are a top 5 team in the NFL right now. Probably top 3. I'd put them at number 3. But shout out to the Baltimore Ravens getting a huge win on Thursday Night Football. And then we had the San Francisco 49ers versus the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. 49ers won by 3 points. McCaffrey's game back, and McCaffrey did what he needed to do. Even though he did not score a touchdown, he had 39 yards rushing. He also had some receiving yards, 68 yards receiving. So, McCaffrey out in the flats against a linebacker is a mismatch every single time waiting to happen. It's like, all right, you're going to put your linebacker on McCaffrey? All right, there's a mismatch right there. You're going to have to put a defensive back on McCaffrey or else he's just going to exploit you every single time. That's why they won this game, strictly because of McCaffrey. He was a difference maker. The 68 yards receiving was a huge difference maker in this game and ultimately won the San Francisco 49ers the game. And we saw the kicker Mooney go 0 for 3, eventually hit the game-winning field goal kick, and we saw a little altercation after between Moody and Deebo Samuel. Look, that it just happens. You know what I mean? You guys are on the same team. A lot of competitive juices are flowing out there. It just sometimes people snap. And Deebo, typically he snapped on the long snapper or Mooney, whichever one it was. But at the end of the day, they squashed the beef, and the 49ers won this game. That was a huge win for the San Francisco 49ers. They're 5-4 right now. They play Seattle next weekend. Yes, they have a hard schedule every now and then, but right now, looking at it, it's like, the 49ers kind of control their own destiny. They play Seattle. Yes, they go into Green Bay, and they go into Buffalo. So those 2 alone right there, the 2 away teams, it's going to be hard to win there. But then you got the Bears, the Rams, the Dolphins, and then obviously Arizona, who's number 1 right now. So it's going to be interesting to see how the San Francisco 49ers close out their second half of the season with McCaffrey finally back. And I think it's going to be spectacular. I think 49ers are going to eventually win their division and beat Arizona Cardinals the last game of the regular season. But I'm looking at San Francisco and saying, hey, they're finding their identity right now. And they understand what's at stake. They understand George Kittle. He's one of the best tight ends in the league, probably the number 1 tight end in the league right now. And he just did what he needed to do this game. He did have a touchdown, 57 yards receiving. But right now, the 49ers, man, I'm looking at Tampa Bay. Baker, he's doing a really good season this year, but they're 4-6 right now. And Mike Evans being out and Chris Godwin being out, that was the end of the Tampa Bay's, season, really, to be honest with you. Ever since Chris Godwin and Mike Evans went down, that was it for Baker in Tampa. But shout out to the San Francisco 49ers getting a huge win on the road with McCaffrey's first game back. Let's go! And then we got the Buffalo Bills beating up on my Indianapolis Colts 30-20. We knew this game was going to go how it went. I knew the Colts were going to lose this game. I would have never bet on the Colts. Flacco had 2 touchdowns and 3 picks. He had 3 interceptions, and a lot of these picks were just like, wow, bro. Like, what is Flacco doing? Flacco's 39 right now, way past his prime. I do think the Indianapolis Colts need to get Anthony Richardson back in there. You guys are 4-6 right now. You can still make the playoffs this year. It's not a long shot. So I'm looking at the Colts and saying, put Anthony Richardson back in, bro. Like, you know, I feel like they're just failing Anthony Richardson right now. He's only 2 years in the league right now. Just banged up last season. Had some injuries this season, but put him back in, dude. Flacco throwing 3 picks. Like, come on, bro. Like, I don't understand. Just put Anthony Richardson back in. Josh Allen did not have a great game. He had 280 yards passing with 2 picks. I mean, and they still win this game. And we look at the Buffalo Bills and saying, hey, they're going to be a threat in the playoffs. And Josh Allen understands that, hey, we host Kansas City this coming up weekend. So that's going to be a huge game in Buffalo. Kansas City's undefeated still. And we saw the ending of that game. That was crazy. I'll get to that. But the Buffalo Bills right now, they're a team that can really run deep in the playoffs. They have the weapons. So there's no excuse for Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills to choke in the playoffs again this year. So, like, for Josh Allen, you guys are 8-2. You host the Kansas City Chiefs, who are looking at 3-peat this year, who have not lost the game. This is going to be a primetime game next weekend, man. I can't wait to see how Josh Allen plays against Patrick Mahomes and the defending champions. It's going to be interesting. Back-to-back defending champions looking for a 3-peat. The only team to ever do it will be the Kansas City Chiefs if they complete that. No team has ever 3-peat in the NFL history ever. So it's going to be interesting to see how Kansas City develops the second half of the season. And then we got the New York Giants versus the Carolina Panthers. This game was in Germany. The Panthers won this game in a close one, 20-17. My thing is the NFL's trying to grow the NFL. If you guys are trying to grow this big multi-billion-dollar company, why send shitty teams over to Germany and overseas? Like, if you want this game to grow, send Philadelphia Eagles and the Kansas City Chiefs over there. Send top 5 teams over there. They're sending these garbage teams. You have 2 or 3 wins a game. Like, dude, that's not good. Jacksonville was over there. The Patriots were over there. It's just like, send the better teams out there. I think that's going to help grow the game. But shout to Bryce Young and the Panthers, man. Back-to-back wins in his career, man. Shout to Bryce Young. He had a touchdown, 126 yards passing. Hubbard went crazy, 153 yards rushing and a touchdown. And that's why ultimately the Carolina Panthers won this game. And Daniel Jones and company, the Giants, they're trash, man. The Giants organization thought this would be very smart to trade Saquon Barkley, arguably the greatest talent right now at running back position. And you're going to trade Saquon Barkley to the Philadelphia Eagles? Like, the Giants, man, you guys are trash. You deserve to lose. Shout out to the Carolina Panthers getting a huge win. And then we got the Denver Broncos versus the Kansas City Chiefs. Kansas City had this game, man. They had this game to lose. Kansas City was supposed to lose this game. We saw the last second block field goal by Kansas City, and Kansas City found a way to win, 16-14. And literally, you know, they had a chip shot. Denver had a chip shot. Denver had the blueprint to beat Kansas City this year. Now Kansas City's 9-0 from the block field goal that they had, man. It was just, it's amazing, man. It's just Kansas City. There's a reason that they won back-to-back championships. There's a reason they always find a way to win no matter what. No matter how Patrick Mahomes is playing, no matter what's going on, the Kansas City Chiefs always find a way to win. And this is the prime example. You guys are down by 2 with 1 second to go. The game's literally in Denver Broncos' hands, and they blocked the field goal. That's what it comes down to. And Patrick Mahomes did not have the best game. 266 yards passing and a touchdown. Kareem Hunt had 35 yards rushing. You know, it was just, and Travis Kelce scored 64 yards receiving. Kansas City needed to do what they needed to do to win the game. Does that make sense? They just had to do what they had to do to block the field goal, just make the better play at the end of the game, and that's what Kansas City did, and that's why they're 9-0 right now. Kansas City's looking to make history, like I said, to become the first team ever to 3-peat in the NFL. Like, no team's ever won it 3 years in a row. So right now, Kansas City, they're 9-0, and they're finding ways to win, which some games they should have won. This year, they should have lost to the Cincinnati Bengals. They barely won that game. This game, yesterday, against the Denver Broncos, they should have lost that game. But Denver, man, they blew it, man. And Kansas City found a way, blocked the field goal to win the game. That's just what they do, man. Kansas City, they always find ways to win. Andy Reid, a heck of a coach. And right now, Kansas City, obviously, they're number 1 seed right now. They're undefeated. They're 9-0. They just repeated Super Bowl. So, like, dude, for Kansas City, Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce, and company, and you guys are going to get Pacheco back in the next couple weeks, The rich get richer. It really does. It really is true. The rich get richer. Kansas City's on a roll right now. Undefeated, look to become 10-0 next week in Buffalo. I can't wait for that matchup, man. It's going to be the game of the weekend, man. I cannot wait. Take off Kansas City. Shout to Patrick Mahomes. Let's go! And then we got the Pittsburgh Steelers beating the Washington Commanders 28 to 27 in a one-point game. This game was super sweaty, super close. Russell Wilson had 3 touchdowns and 1 pick. And we look at Jaden Daniels. He had 0 touchdowns, 0 picks. He had over 200 yards passing. Eckler had 2 touchdowns. You know, who went crazy was Terry McLaurin, 113 yards receiving off 5 receptions. Terry McLaurin was eating all over Pittsburgh Steelers, but Pittsburgh found a way to win. And I got to give a shout out to Russell Wilson. I thought he was washed up. We saw some vintage Russell Wilson throws this game. We really did. The first touchdown throw to George Pickens, that was a great throw. It was just Russell Wilson is dialed in. And when Pittsburgh Steelers can finally throw the ball, they can beat anybody in the NFL. They really can because they have the defense. They have T.J. Watt and company there. I'm telling you right now, Pittsburgh Steelers are built for the playoffs. You know, they got a great coach. I'm telling you right now, what the Pittsburgh Steelers are doing is pretty crazy, right? They're 7-2. I did not think the Pittsburgh Steelers would be this good right now. I didn't, man. I kind of doubted the Pittsburgh Steelers, but I'm just looking at the Pittsburgh organization right now. They're a winning organization. They win Super Bowls. That's what they do. The last time they won was with Ben Roethlisberger against Arizona. Like, that was a crazy Super Bowl, right? But I just think the Pittsburgh Steelers fan base, one of the greatest fan bases in the NFL, they're everywhere. And I'm telling you, this was a huge win to win. I mean, Jaden Daniels, Washington looked like they were going to run away with this game. 21-27, they got the ball in the fourth quarter with like 5 minutes to go. Pittsburgh Steelers find a stop. They find a gritty win on the road. This is huge for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Now, Jay Daniels and company, Washington, you guys are still at the top right now. You guys still have a great record, but nothing to hang your hat on. But I'm looking at them and saying, wow, bro, like that is crazy, man. The Pittsburgh Steelers are really on the map right now with Russell Wilson and company, man. Shout out to Pittsburgh Steelers, man. Let's go! And then we got the Minnesota Vikings beating the Jacksonville Jaguars 12-7 in an ugly game. Completely ugly game. We look at Sam Darnold. He had 3 interceptions this game, 0 touchdowns. Like, pretty crazy. And they find a way to win this game. It's pretty crazy, right? We look at Jacksonville. They're 2-8. They finally started Mac Jones. ETN had 44 yards rushing. It was just an ugly game overall, bro. Like, it really was. It was one of them things where it's just like, man, bro, Jacksonville, they're trash. They will miss the playoffs yet again this year. And I'm looking at Minnesota Vikings and saying, well, Minnesota always starts off fast, typically. But Sam Darnold, I don't know. I don't know about him. He just threw for 3 picks. You guys barely won against the worst team in the NFL. It's not really speaking volumes to me. I'm looking at Minnesota and saying, yes, they're going to lose in the playoffs to somebody. But I don't know. I don't know about Minnesota right now. I'm kind of iffy on Minnesota and Sam Darnold. You know, after throwing 3 picks, you guys still win. But still, to go deep in the playoffs, you're going to have to play way better than 3 picks and still win the game. And then we got the Atlanta Falcons losing to the New Orleans Saints 20-17. This game was super close. Kirk Cousins, 0 touchdowns, over 300 yards passing, and 1 pick. And then you had Derek Carr with 2 touchdowns, 269 yards passing, and it was all him. And we saw Marquise Scantling. He had 2 touchdowns, 109 yards receiving off 3 receptions. Went crazy. Went insane, and it was all Saints in this matchup. And I'm looking at the Falcons. You guys are 6-4 right now. Kirk Cousins really inconsistent. I knew this. Kirk Cousins either the type of player to throw for 4 touchdowns or 0 touchdowns and a couple picks. That's the either side of Kirk Cousins. I mean, that's the guy. That's the guy you guys are invested in for Atlanta. You guys gave him a huge bag to be like, hey, man, you're going to play inconsistent. That's what Kirk Cousins does. He's always done that his whole career. He's either has a great game or a shitty game, and this game was shitty, and that's why they lost. Ultimately, that's why they lost, because of Kirk Cousins. And shout out to the New Orleans Saints getting a huge win at home against the Atlanta Falcons. And then we got the New Orleans Patriots versus the Chicago Bears. I went Patriots in this matchup. They won 19-3. And we look at the Chicago Bears and realize, man, Caleb Williams, you know, didn't really do much. 120 yards passing, that's it. You guys have so much talent on there. Keenan Allen, DJ Moore, Roma Duze, Cole Kmet, DeAndre Swift, and you guys aren't putting up any points. I'm looking at Caleb Williams and saying, hey, bro, it's time to take off. It's time. You guys are 4-5 right now. You're one game below 500. If you're the Bears, you guys got to take off here. I thought for sure they'd have a high-powered offense, be scoring 28-plus a game. But right now, they're barely scoring. And I'm looking at Caleb Williams and saying, I understand you're a rookie. You got a lot of expectations, a lot of responsibilities you got to do off the field. It's time to step up here. You got the weapons to do it, so capitalize on that. But shout out to the Patriots, man. Shout out to Drake Maye, a touchdown and a pick. It was just all Patriots. I knew the Patriots had a better defense. That's why ultimately I went Patriots over the trash Chicago Bears. And then we got the Tennessee Titans losing to the LA Chargers. Shout out to the Chargers, man. They are 6-3 right now. I never thought the Chargers would be this good, but they got Harbaugh coming from Michigan, coming from a national championship that season in Michigan. So I'm looking at Harbaugh and company. They got a legit team. Justin Herbert, 164 yards passing and a touchdown. He also had a rushing touchdown, Herbert did, and then Quentin Johnson had a touchdown. So it was all Chargers here. And Chargers, man, I didn't really expect a lot with the Chargers this season, but I'm telling you, they are 6-3. They play the Bengals next weekend on Sunday night. That's going to be a huge game. But overall, the Chargers, man, their schedule, I mean, they play Atlanta, they play Tampa, they play Denver, and the Patriots and the Raiders. However, they do end up playing Kansas City. That's a tough matchup. They play the Ravens and the Bengals. So it doesn't get any easier for the Chargers. But right now, Herbert and company, you guys are 6-3 in Harbaugh. You guys are sitting nice right now. Literally. I mean, the Chargers, nothing to complain about. You guys are 6-3. You just beat the trash Tennessee Titans. But, hey, you guys are above 500. You're in the playoff hunt. That's all that matters. Shout out to Harbaugh. Shout out to Chargers. Let's go. And then we got the Philadelphia Eagles versus the Dallas Cowboys, 34-6. It was a slaughter. I knew Philly was going to win this game. And we look at Dallas, man. Yes, you guys have who? Cooper Rush. He's just trash, man. They put Trey Lance in. He was 4 for 6, 21 yards. He did throw a pick. But I do think they need to start Trey Lance the rest of the season. Why not? Roll the dice on this young man. Jalen Hurts, 2 touchdowns and a pick. Saquon Barkley, just 66 yards rushing. It kind of sucks having Saquon on fantasy, right? Some weeks he goes off, some weeks he doesn't. It's because of the tush push. We look at Jalen Hurts, they get in the 1 yard, 1-2 yard line. They always do the tush push. So if Philadelphia Eagles did not do the tush push, Saquon would have the most rushing touchdowns this season. I think they robbed Saquon of that, inside the 1 yard line. But Philly, they're just trying to win the game. I understand, man. In Philly right now, they're 7-2. In Philly, man, they're looking nice. Their defense is stepping up. They drafted 2 rookies, defensive backs this year in the draft, and really they capitalized on that. And Cooper DeJean and Mitchell, man, I'm telling you right now, those 2 players are making a difference on Philadelphia Eagles secondary, and that's what's stopping people. In Philly, they got a home game against Washington Commanders, and then they play the Rams and Ravens. So Philly, the schedule doesn't get any easier, but right now, Jalen Hurts and company, they're looking nice with Saquon Barkley. Dallas Cowboys, the season is over with. Dak Prescott, he's done. You guys paid him way too much money to be mediocre, to only win 2 playoff games in Dallas. That's not cutting it. Dallas, man, you guys are trash. I love it, man. I freaking love it, dude. I love talking crap about the Dallas Cowboys because they are. They're literally trash. They're trash. They're just pond scum, dude. They are terrible. I don't know why they get all this media coverage. I get it. Jerry Jones, yeah, you're a billionaire. What do you do? You're trash. You haven't won anything since the 90s. So it's time to wake up. So shout out to the Philadelphia Eagles getting a huge win on the road. And then we got the New York Jets getting blown out by the Arizona Cardinals 31-6. And the Jets season, they're over. They're 3-7. Aaron Rodgers is washed up. He's done. His career is done. Kyler Murray, 1 touchdown, 266 yards passing. James Conner had a touchdown. Trey Benson, 62 yards rushing. I got him in fantasy. I'm going to start him here in a couple weeks. So it was all Arizona. Arizona, man, shout out to Kyler Murray and company. They're 6-4. They're first in their division. If the playoffs started today, they'd get in. So I'm telling you right now, Kyler Murray, Marvin Harrison Jr. and company, the Arizona Cardinals are here. They are a legit team. They're elite. And I can't wait to see the future for Kyler Murray and company, man. Let's go. And then we got the Sunday night football game. The Houston Texans were up all game until they blew it. The Detroit Lions find a way to win 26-23 by a game-winning field goal. And we look at this game and say, why was it so close? Because of Jared Goff. Jared Goff had one of his worst games of his career. He had 2 touchdowns and 5 interceptions. He had 5 picks. So you look at Jared Goff and say, you had 5 picks and you guys still won this game against the Houston Texans, who are a nice team. And C.J. Stroud, even though they're banged up with some injuries with Nico Collins out, Stephon Diggs out for the season, C.J. Stroud, 1 touchdown, 2 picks. Joe Mixon had a touchdown. And I'm looking at David Montgomery had a touchdown. Gibbs, 71 yards rushing. Sam Laporta had a touchdown. But we look at the Detroit Lions. They always find a way to win, right? They're 8-1. They're a top 2 team in the NFL. Kansas City and Detroit Lions are the best teams right now in the NFL. And then I'd probably go Baltimore at number 3. But we look at Detroit Lions and say, why are they the best team? They have a great defense. It's just a great team in general. And we look at Jared Goff and say, wow, you threw for 5 interceptions on Sunday Night Football, and you guys still find a way to win. That is crazy, bro. That blows my mind. Like, that is crazy. 5 interceptions, and yet you still find a way to win the game? Like, dude, we can't make this up, bro. How does Jared Goff do it? 5 picks and you still win the game. Shout out to Dan Campbell. Shout out to the Detroit Lions, man. They are legit. They're a team that's going to run deep this year. Absolutely. And I hope they win the Super Bowl just for the Detroit Lions fan base and company, man. They haven't won. You know, it's been so long, man. Like, we want Detroit Lions to run deep this year. Jameson Williams back in the lineup, man. Shout out to Detroit Lions getting a huge win on the road on Sunday Night Football when Jared Goff throws for 5 picks. Hey, that's a good game. That is a freaking good night, and you still win the game. Shout out to Dan Campbell. Shout out to Detroit Lions. Let's go. And then we got the Monday Night Football game, Miami versus the Rams. I'm going Rams tonight. I love the Rams. When I see Cooper Kupp's back in the lineup, you know, they got so many great players. You got Puka Nacua. You know, it's just a great run game in Kyren Williams. So let me get the LA Rams right now at home. They're going to be 5-4. They'll have 1 game over 500. That's huge for Sean McVay and company, man. They started the season out a little rough, but right now they're continuing to win the game. But what a time for Week 10. Kansas City blocked their field goal against Denver Broncos to win the game in a close one in a nail-biter. So Kansas City remains undefeated. 49ers go on the road and win with McCaffrey's first game back. What a Week 10 for the NFL. It's the Cloud with Cam show. Let's go!